So whenever this video drops, it'll be because Jayson Tatum was confirmed to have a torn Achilles, which means there'll actually be two videos on the channel today for the first time in a very long time, because even if the world was ending, we have to discuss what just happened in that draft lottery. Not the topic of this video though. It is one of the league's younger, brighter stars tearing his Achilles at age 27 in the middle of trying to repeat and having one of his better playoff games. Just another one thrown on top of a lot of the classics he's already had, but were underappreciated for various reasons. We'll start with that, then we will talk about the Celtics and Knicks. So with the Celtics down 2-1 and fighting for their life in a series they were surely talented enough to win in 5 or 6. Freak accident, just like a lot of torn Achilles we've seen, going for the ball and snap. I'm actually recording this before they've even confirmed it's a torn Achilles, just because every single time I've ever seen this in the last 6-7 years, it's never anything else. So I've already gone ahead and accepted it. He's done this on May 12th in the second round, some way through it, meaning the 2026 season for Jayson Tatum is probably cooked. I don't know how he would make a comeback. I don't know why he would. I don't think whatever the Celtics are going to do with the team this summer is going to make it make sense for him to even rush back like that. I wholeheartedly believe the next time we see him will be in the 2027 NBA season, and I don't know if I would say he couldn't have picked a worse time for this, because I guess technically the worst time would have been before he got one with this core. I think because of how much the teams have changed over the years, it's been forgotten just how long this Tatum and Brown core has been going and how long they've been developing. Technically, they were just on the cusp of their primes. Finally cracked the formula last year, and before anybody even says it, I know how that ring is perceived. They beat a lot of injured teams. There wasn't really any particularly impressive wins. So yeah, it will be one of the less remembered rings. And from the looks of things, they weren't about to go win another one. We'll get to that though. What does this mean for Tatum now and going forward? What does this mean for the Celtics? You haven't heard? You might have read headlines that said, oh, if the Celtics lose to the Knicks, they're breaking it up. They're going to change this. Well, if you've been paying attention for a while with that ownership change, they were actually about to change things anyways. They weren't paying for this team. And so it looked like there were some very obvious names on the salary sheet who were probably on the chopping block, except under that plan, and assuming they did win the series or whatever, I mean, it looked like they were going to lose it. It was due to be more of a retooling thing, maybe shifting roles for a guy like Derek White if Drew Holiday wasn't going to be around. As long as you've got a good or decent team around the Jays, you feel good. Well, now it changes, because the moves you make this summer kind of just can't be, hey, let's tweak it a little bit while we save some money and still try to contend. Well, you're not contending next year. You're probably just contending for a play-in spot with Jaylen Brown. You have them both pretty solidly locked up for the rest of the 2020s. But now you've got this gap year where you are already changing the roster. And so I wonder if they make some of the same moves they were going to make. There's just too many moving parts to even clearly see where they could go or where they want to go. Giannis is on the move this summer. I didn't think the Celtics were throwing their hat in that ring, and they especially aren't now. I don't even know how that would work or how that factors into a year of Tatum not being there. It's not even really sounding like it's in the realm of possibility right now. And so you would assume you have him back to start 2027, where you've then gone through 2 off seasons, and you're starting here in May knowing it's a torn Achilles. So if the plan is to continue with Tatum and Brown when he gets back, now is the time to start setting up those pieces. What do you want to do this summer to put you in position for whatever's coming in the next summer, so that you have a competitive team for what will then be, the last 2 or 3 years of their contracts? And that especially sucks, because I know we've had more encouraging signs lately in terms of players coming back from torn Achilles. However, I will point out, even the ones that do, the window for even more problems seems to open. Now, Tatum is younger, but the fact remains, you just don't know what a torn Achilles is going to do these days. It used to end careers at a certain point. It used to significantly alter careers. Then we've seen guys actually come back and hoop. But I'll tell you, man, I was already worried about, just in this postseason, some of Tatum's drives. I know his hand was hurt. Still, he had just fallen in love with the three-point shot as the Celtics had as a whole. We talked about math ball. We're going to talk about it in the section with the Knicks and Celtics. But yeah, who knows how long. You'll see the highlights of him chucking threes, and it won't show he was still good at driving. He was still good at creating in the mid-range. And now you're kind of wondering, okay, how long does that take to come back? Is the burst the same? The million moving parts. You don't know anything. And yeah, outside of stating the obvious of how devastating this is, and especially as a fan of the team, me specifically as someone who has traveled around and watched this core over the years, I didn't even realize until this injury. I've kind of been watching Tatum and Brown almost 10 years. The first time I seen them together was 2017. Late 2017, it was the 2018 season still. That's coming up on 10 years. Definitely the most an injury has probably ever devastated me as a fan. And for it to pretty much throw a wrench into this core, yeah, it's bad. Part of the allure of this season for me was seeing them try to go win a title I won't say that people would actually respect, but one you couldn't just so easily knock at, because yeah, I'm not stupid. The 24 title is very, very easy to ding. The way it's looking with this specific core, it'll be the only title they ever won. So aside from what it means for them, you're watching the playoffs, so you see the Cavs actually got healthy, then got beat by Indiana. Down 3-1 currently, starting to look unlikely they will reach the conference finals. And in any case, they were always beatable. They were very good, they were never unbeatable. Indiana has gotten very good, specifically in this calendar year. New York, we'll talk about them in a second. It really does make everything even more chaotic next season, and you throw this offseason into the mix where a lot is slated to happen, specifically with this conference. Oh, buddy. Yeah, there are going to be some changes, and the Celtics won't be there as the team to beat. So yeah, I expect a lot of aggression this summer, even though, as we'll talk about in the draft video, it kind of feels like there's a very strong suitor for Giannis in that conversation. But nevertheless, the East is even more open than it was looking in these last couple of weeks. So I was watching this game with my friend who's a Knicks fan, and he was saying how, oh, you want to beat the Boston Celtics at full strength, and he hates this injury. And well, look, congratulations to New York. He'd already beaten them. I don't know if you noticed. They were definitely already about to go down 3-1. These third quarter collapses, Boston wasn't winning this series, and it's a combination of things. At first, I just want to start by giving credit to what New York did, because don't want to make it sound like Boston just beat themselves, even though they did that to a certain extent. Yeah, no, of course, Brunson got to where he wanted at the most important times. Mitchell Robinson, he flat out changed things. Yeah, Boston found ways to use him against New York at times. However, he was way grittier than any of the Celtics bigs this series. And the simple act of him switching on to ball handlers seemed to just make the range short circuit. Yeah, he takes up a lot of space, but I definitely saw times where it looked like they had him, or he was in a favorable position and the shot selection just did not make sense. But for one reason or another, Mitch's presence was huge, and yeah, he really wasn't that big a part of the regular season. Cat, at some point, and I'll give this credit to Cat and Tibbs, at a certain point, something clicked and they said, hey, you're better than all their bigs. Horford is really old. KP, who knows what's going on with him. And after you get past those two, you're down to Cornette. And so it's simple. When you saw Horford on him, who's known as a good defender, specifically for his ability to be this age and switch out on the guards, Cat played him as a big, and he was stronger, he was quicker. And as this series drug on, he just really caused problems for the Celtics. And this was the feature that made me, some way through the series, say, hey, I'm not so sure they're just going to come back and win 4 games because they all of a sudden shoot better. I'd identified that as something I was actually worried about, because roster-wise, Boston did not have an answer. And it was like the Knicks found out, oh, wait, we are better than them down there. And they pressed that point. So you combine that with the absolute headassery from Boston on offense sometimes. I'm talking taking threes when they should have drove, not taking advantage of certain mismatches. When they did try to take advantage of certain mismatches, just bobbling the ball. Don't want to take away credit from when the Knicks perimeter defenders did do good things, but there were so many drives where it was just like, oh, yeah, this is why Boston just shoots 3 after 3. This mystery illness with Porzingis, he looked gassed. I seen him miss those free throws late in this game, and even then, just him on the floor in general, his presence was just nothing like you would have hoped. It actually, for here, was a negative. And so for a team that was already not super deep down low, and playing a team who just flat out had bigs playing better, barely being able to use KP at all, or having him barely be effective at all, yeah, that was a huge problem. And then you combine this with the confidence New York had gained by this point close to when Tatum had the injury. And Mikal Bridges was now all of a sudden fading away like KD. OG Anunoby had got his confidence on offense. The Knicks gained more and more confidence. And it took it from being, oh, how many threes does Boston make? Which, once again, I feel as if I watched 3 third quarter collapses with very similar features. Boston settling. Shortly before Tatum got injured, he took damn near a half-court shot, and I don't think the situation called for it. And the number of shots like that this series where I was just so confused. Yeah, I've got no problem just stating that one clearly. They were not playing good enough to win this series before Tatum had the injury. They had the one game where they finally held the lead. The rest of these games, for 4 quarters, they were not playing good enough. And with the right mixture of New York hitting their pressure points and Boston once again just playing some of the most nauseating basketball you have ever seen. I don't know, call it championship hangover, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, bro. There was a lack of hair, damn near, that I saw from this unit at times. They were playing like a unit that knew this was it, and they'd already won one. And man, it's some of the least enjoyable basketball I've seen them play. Been watching for a very, very long time, seen many different teams, many different iterations. This was the least enjoyable to watch, I'll be honest. I did not enjoy seeing a missed 3 and the ball immediately bounce back out. I didn't enjoy seeing Horford at an important time of the game kind of have a line to the hoop and he didn't even look at it. This was not enjoyable basketball to watch. Every now and then it felt like you would see some good concepts and oh, hey, there goes a drive. And look, they can do that. And it'd be followed by terrible shots and very confusing drives. It was really like they weren't even prepared to go against Knicks defenders. It's like they came in, and I think you see that in how they played game 1. It really feels like they came in just saying, hey, you know what? We can get a 3 whenever we want. That's how we're going to win it. We'll drive a couple times. For the most part, especially with Cat at center, we're just going to get what we want, though. And you lose 2 home games. Now you're fighting for your life in a game 3, and your best player tears his Achilles. It really is a tale as old as time itself, and just in terms of the story, not necessarily an Achilles, but the vibe, yeah, it's a very old story in the NBA. Once again, just reiterating, congratulations to New York as well. I do think Boston was overall a better team. I still think the Knicks peaked at the things they were good at as well. Big defensive plays, Mikal Bridges in one of the most important parts of the series, just turning into Kevin Durant. And once again, Brunson and Cat. Yeah, this team clicked on all the things. If you were talking about a possible Knicks run in this postseason, they clicked almost everywhere they needed to make it happen. So by all accounts, we will end up with a Knicks-Pacers conference finals. And yeah, we'll talk about that one when it fully materializes. For now, that's really all I've got to say about this one. Tatum and Brown, it's been a fun core to watch through the years, save for when it became math ball. Definitely had a lot of fun watching them develop and get over the hump. Now we wait. No clue what the future looks like, only ideas of what you could be thinking as Boston management at this point, but nothing concrete. There's a lot that is going to change in the league from today to the start of the 27 season. And there's just no way to even have a clue of where it's going. So that's it for this one. There will be a second video today about the draft lottery because we have to talk about the draft lottery, bro. If you enjoyed this one, hit the like button, comment, and sub. Also, hit the bell next to my name if you want notifications every time a new video drops. Appreciate you watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.